Hello, everyone, and welcome to Francis Watch, April 14th, 2025. Actually, no, I'm not really doing Francis Watch so much. What I am doing, uh, I couldn't help but notice the one event with Francis, though, where he was wheeled out wearing street clothes. He was wearing what people described as a poncho, and I said, well, he's dressed like a Jesuit. So that was that. But I'm mostly ignoring the Francis Watch news and trying to get you the news that you may or may not have heard. So we'll start in Canada. According to information shared with LifeSite News, the Ontario English Catholic Teachers Association recruited Father Toby Collins, the pastor at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Kitchener, to crush a motion to remove LMNOP flags from classrooms. He is scheduled to delegate to the Waterloo Catholic District School Board in an attempt to stop the ban. So, the so-called Catholic schools in Canada are funded by the government, and so they're basically as bad as government schools, at least in terms of what Kennedy Hall has said in some of his interviews. So I kind of, you kind of see that and you say, well, it's not so great. Things aren't so great in Canada, but there's a Catholic priest who is supporting LMNOP flags, so that's absolutely disgusting. And you know what I think should happen with those priests is they should immediately be suspended, and they should go to canonical trial for heresy, and um, if they wish to repent, then they could choose to I guess, resign themselves to a life of seclusion and penance, which could do a lot of people a lot of good, but especially these priests who are like Slim Jim Martin, um, these priests who are going around and shoving LMNOP in everyone's face. Okay, moving on. Bishop Strickland. So he had some interesting quotes here. He said, "When I received the news of my dismissal as Bishop of Diocese of Tyler, it was a moment of pain not for me, but for the people I shepherded and for the church I love." He told this to Info Vaticana. He said, "I was not given a clear explanation. I received a few words of support from some bishops, but in private. No one had the courage to support me publicly. The silence of the shepherds says it all. Courage is not optional in the episcopate, it is a requirement. I think many bishops today are afraid to speak clearly. There is a real fear among bishops of being dismissed, sidelined, or punished." Now I want to stop there for a second. So, how many bishops believe in the Catholic faith? Because it's not 100%, I can tell you that. Is it even 80%? Is it even 60%, 50, 40? Who knows? But this is a real problem. And what are they afraid of? Losing their job? What's going to happen then? If they lose their job, what's going to happen? They'll be free to do whatever they want, and they'll have an income to go with it. So why are they afraid? Why not speak out? If even a few bishops in the United States banded together, what's gonna like? And now's not the time to be silent. But they are. They certainly are. And after what happened with Strickland, make no mistake about it, he was removed because he supports the Catholic faith. Meanwhile, political political spokespeople, I guess that's the nicest way to put it, for McElroy, are giving promotions. I knew it was a matter of time. but he's rotten. He's completely compromised. He's a heretic. Um, he's just everything that the Catholic Church stands against. And he received a promotion, and Strickland was kicked out. Very, very telling for the Francis Church. But if you've been watching this show, you know that. Okay, and then Strickland asked a few questions. He said, if synodality is really about listening and walking together, why are the voices of faithful Catholics so often dismissed or silenced? If mercy is truly a hallmark of this pontificate, why is it so rarely extended to those who are simply trying to remain faithful to the positive faith? Silence or compromise in the face of error is a betrayal of Christ. We will not be judged by how much we have pleased the world, but by how faithfully we have proclaimed the truth. We are living through one of the most polarizing pontificates in the history of the Church. So, I mean, that's pretty obvious, straightforward, whatever you want to say about that. But Bishop Strickland is, he's telling the truth. All right. The headline. So Francis accepted the the Francis bot accepted the resignation of Kansas City Archbishop Joseph Naumann last week, and named Bishop Sean McKnight of Jefferson City, Missouri, as his replacement. And Naumann recently spoke out strongly against the Satanist group at the Kansas Capitol, and he led a pro-life prayer rally outside of a Planned Parenthood. And so, of course, the Francis bot will remove him and replace him with the Biden bishop right away. That's exactly what happened. McKnight is a Biden bishop, which means he was one of the bishops to sign a document saying that he did not want to deny communion to pro-abortion politicians. And that's a Supich group, and so they're getting preferential treatment, they're getting promotions. In the Francis Church or the Francis Bot Church or whatever you think it is. And McKnight also, he discouraged people from making a pilgrimage to see the incorrupt body of Sister Wilhelmina, who was a traditionalist nun. And he also blocked me on Twitter after I pointed out that he hid comments. All I said was he hid comments in his tweet. It was a really cringe tweet. I think it was like a Pope-splainer tweet. And I pointed out, I said, here's a bishop who's hiding comments. And he blocked me. He didn't, because he couldn't hide my comment. McKnight, he was also about, so he also tried to implement the USCCB's policy in regards to the music at Novus Ordo Masses, and due to pushback from probably the parish Karens, he just a few days after he released this statement, he retracted it and said, oh, we'll have a year-long synodal discussion, and what do you know, he's not even been there for a year after that. So those all are welcome. Will stay in the church rotation at the leftist churches, and even just some of the normal Catholic or normal Novus Ordo parishes. So the same year he signed the Biden document, he claimed that Catholics have a moral responsibility to receive the experimental jabs, and directed priests not to grant religious exemptions. So that's pathetic. He definitely owes everyone an apology. He should be ashamed of himself, but these people don't really like to apologize for anything other than fake indigenous graves or fake masked indigenous graves, or they apologize to other religions for whatever, but they don't apologize for actual offenses against really common decency, but the Catholic faith as well. Just pathetic. Most of these most of these bishops, I mean, not most of them, but a lot of the new bishops who are being promoted, it just really makes you question whether or not they agree with Catholic doctrine. And there's a new one. So, Baltimore Auxiliary Bishop Bruce Lewandowski was promoted to Bishop of Providence, Rhode Island. That's, I think, was that where the Good Tobin was at one point? I don't know. But he spoke at a social ministry convocation 1 year ago. I found this article. It said he set the tone for the day at this conference with a message of closeness and transformation. Wow. He called for attendees to get close and stay close, reminding them of the transformative power of genuine human connection. That's really creepy. Okay, emphasizing the importance of proximity and fostering understanding and empathy, Bishop Lewandowski encouraged everyone to mirror the compassionate outreach of Jesus Christ by getting to know the individuals for whom they serve as advocates in social justice work. Another clip from this article: the breadth and the depth of Catholic social justice issues are diverse, covering topics including poverty, environmental stewardship, and racial justice. So, you know that it's some leftist anti-Catholic conference. Convocation attendees heard from Father Matthew Buening, Archdiocesan Coordinator of LMNOP Ministries, and Pastor St. Matthew and Blessed Sacrament in Baltimore, who shared the need for genuine listening and accompaniment of those experiencing LMNOP attraction. He shared his experience moving from having only an academic understanding of the Church's teaching on LMNOP issues to walking beside Catholics with LMNOP attraction. So, just like really strange far left social justice conference that this auxiliary bishop was part of. And he could have condemned a lot of this nonsense on environment and just stuff that's pretty irrelevant to Catholics. Racial justice generally just as an opposition to Catholic teaching, but it just goes to show that these new Francis bishops, they're looking for people whose resumes are involved with leftist programs. The USCCB announced last week it will not renew its contracts with the U.S. government to settle migrants after sparring with the Trump administration over funding. In the 2023 fiscal year, the USCCB received $129 million in government grants, and in the prior year to that, 2022, it was $122 million from the U.S. government. So people are certainly going to lose their jobs at the USCCB, and I think that was the big motivation for them to try to continue this government funding, but it's not going to happen, so they kind of gave up, and probably a good thing. All right, and moving over to Spain, Father Santiago Cantera, Benedictine, former prior of the Abbey of the Valley of the Fallen, confirmed in a statement on April 10th that he had been forced to leave. He said, although all that I live with my community has been imposed on us, we receive it with a supernatural gaze and with the peace that the world is not able to give, but that only God can give. He will accept the situation as an opportunity that God will use to give me a time of physical and spiritual rest and spiritual retreat, which I really needed, and which will allow me to grow internally and in my attachment to the good God of love and mercy. The socialist Spanish regime, with the collaboration of the Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Pedro Parolin and the unanimous Spanish bishops, is going to re-signify the site. The government's secularization plans include the secularization of the Basilica and departure of the Benedictine monks. The socialists want space for educational and democratic reflection. So certainly a far-left communist power grab. And protesting Catholics confronted the Spanish bishops at their recent meeting in Madrid, but the prelates refused any dialogue in keeping with synodality. So it's pretty consistent with their synodal, what do you call it, protocol. Synodal protocol. Ignore the faithful. And give away a monastery to socialists. That sounds very Catholic. How very synodal of them. Okay, so that is all I have for EVTN news today. Let's see. Yeah, that is it today. Now, as for next week, I don't know what's going on with next week. I probably won't be able to do a live stream on Monday, so I don't know what I'm going to do. But this is Holy Week, so take your time to reflect on the Passion of Jesus and read your missals. So Latin Mass, whatever. Find Pre-55 in particular. You can read it online for free. I know that online's not, especially when you're reading through some of the readings, it's not the most convenient way to do things, but find a Douay Rheims Bible and read through the readings if online is difficult for you. Because we need to kind of stick with our Catholic traditions, and Pre-55 is the way to go for sure. So anyway, okay, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, this has been EVTN News. We are the laity. We will not be silent.